Hello everyone. So today we are going to discuss about the economic planning and its working definitions. Okay. So the previous classes we discussed about the introduction of economic planning and definition of the economic planning. Okay. So basically these economic plannings means the government sets some important developmental objectives especially for economic decisions. So maybe these economic decisions making over a longer period to influence the economy of a particular country. Okay, just influence the particular economy of your country. So we have to take some economic decisions. So these economic decisions making over a longer period. For longer period only we are taking these type of the economic decisions. Okay, especially these are sometimes even they control the important variables like income of your person, consumption of your person, employment of a particular person, and saving and investment, exports and imports. So these are very important variables in the particular nation's economy. Okay, so whenever we are taking economic decisions means maybe those decisions will affect these variables. Okay, so whenever there is a change in these variables, whether they are positive or negative, it depends on the country's economic planning. Okay, so that's why we have to consciously take those important economic decisions, especially under the economic development planning. Okay, so it means finally, economic planning is simply a set of specific economic targets that we have to achieve. Okay, so maybe those specific economic targets means maybe consumption will be increased, employment will be generated in your country, especially this much of the percentage we have to increase, and our savings will be increased as at present we have this much of the percentage of the saving, and maybe 2 or 3 years after we'll get that much of the percentage of the saving, and investment maybe will be increased. So these type of the specific economic targets that we have. Okay, so and we have to practice the economic developmental things in the country to achieve those targets in a particular period of time. Okay, so not only setting specific economic targets to achieve, but we have to maintain some strategy. So the strategy will depend on the economic planning of your particular country. Okay, it means we have to follow the strategy of your particular country, and we have to set some important economic targets in your country, especially for getting the development and welfare of your people. Okay, so these important economic plans may be the very different. Particularly or generally, so we have to discuss about two types of the economic plannings are there. So first one is the comprehensive, and second one is the partial. Okay. So first coming to the comprehensive plans sets targets to cover all major aspects of the economy. Okay, so all major, so the important aspects of the economy will cover under the comprehensive plan. Okay, while the partial plan means may go for the setting such targets for a part of the economy, only some important small parts only it has to taken as a target. So maybe those are the agriculture industry and public sector, so these comes under the comprehensive planning. Okay, so whatever the government in the countries is, so first of all it has to choose some social objectives. Okay, so especially then it will go to the various targets. Those are the economic targets, but first of all each and every country has a responsibility to take and choose the social objectives, because social objective is nothing but focusing on the society or on the people. Okay, so here the first of all they have to give the preference to the social objectives, and then they'll go to the economic targets. Okay, and finally, so finally, I can say setting of the specific important objectives or targets, economic targets, and government will try to implement those things. This is the second process, and third one is the coordinating. Each and everyone should be coordinate in the country. So this is the third thing, and fourth thing is the monitoring the development plan. So we have to monitor, and we have to maintain some important records and reports how the country is developing and how much percentage of the development is there in the country. So this is the long process, and maybe this is in a longer period of time. Okay. So first time the planning term was entered into the country. So and it was the first time applied form only, because there was no country about this type of the planning. So each and every country experienced its first time as a applied form. So after such time, so the people and countries started studying and surveying each and every experience of different countries which followed the economic planning. So whenever we have to know about something from the different countries, the experts started the theorizing. Okay, it means they started to giving theories to the each and every country, especially about the planning. Okay, so in the case of the planning, the direction being from practice to the theory. Okay, so not only practicing, but we have to know something about different countries that they are following the economic planning. Okay, so this is why the form and nature of the planning kept changing from country to country and time to time. Okay, so the planning, economic planning is not the same, and it is not equal in every country. So there may be chances to changing from country to country, it will change and time to time. So 1950s, maybe that was the different types of the economic plannings the countries have, and at present also the planning is very different. Okay, so the day by day there are some important changes will occur in the society. Okay, so according to the time, according to the country's nature, so we have to follow the different types of the economic plannings. Okay. So coming to the working definitions in the world regarding the planning. Okay, so first definition is the planning is a process. So it is something, it is a process that we are doing. Okay, so it means planning is a process of doing something. Okay, something we are doing, but this is one type of the process that we have to get some results. Okay, so until we have some goals and objectives. Okay, so whenever we have some goals and objectives left regarding our lives, the process might continue. So whenever the goals and objectives when we reach the goals and objectives of a particular country or economy, especially regarding our lives, so the process might continue until we are getting the goals and objectives. Until we are fulfilling those goals and objectives, the process, the economic planning processes might continue. Okay, so with the changing nature of our needs, okay, day by day, so our needs also changing, and the nature and the scope of the planning process might go changes. Okay, whenever our needs are changing means the nature and scope of a particular planning process also might change. So the process is a accelerate and deaccelerate and change direction. Okay, so accelerate means sometimes it moves quickly, and deaccelerate means sometimes it reduces its speed, but sometimes it can change its direction also, and finally it will be a planning. Okay, so this is the first working definition, and coming to the second working definition, so that is planning must have well defined goals. Okay, so here, well-defined goals means maybe those goals are relevant or achievable or specific important goals. Okay, so we must have set some important well-defined goals. Okay, so after Second World War, so that is 1939 to 1945. Okay, the time period of the Second World War, and several countries opted for the development planning because the countries lost their wealth, army, etc. So to get out of that depression, so the people started and opting the development planning. Okay, so because they are faced enormous socio-economic hurdles, so on the basis of the economy, on the basis of the society, they faced some hurdles, some important troubles. So they first set some objectives, goals and objectives, and then they started their process of realizing them with the planning. Okay, so first of all they have to set some goals and objectives, and they started their process of realizing them. Whenever they are going with the planning, they will start the realizing the process. Okay, So the planning must have the goals, and these goals should be well defined. It means uh, some specific goals, achievable goals, the relevant goals that we have. Okay. And planning of a particular country democratically, it should be the transparent and justified also. Even in non-democratic countries, the goals of planning was clearly defined. Okay. So democratic countries are there, non-democratic countries are there. Non-democratic is nothing but monarchy type of the governments. Okay. Even though they also have some planning process. Example, that time USSR, Poland and China. So the goals of particular planning also can be clearly and defined, the defined goals they have. Okay. Even in the non-democratic nations also. Okay. Coming to the third working definition, so that is optimum utilization of the available resources. Okay. So here we see two welcoming concepts. So first one is the way of utilizing the resources, and till the idea of a sustainability emerged 1987. Okay, so it means sustainability means just we have to use resources at present with careful mentality, and we have to promote those resources to the future generation. Okay, so that is known as a sustainable development or sustainability. So till the idea of the sustainability, so the first is the way of utilizing the resources that we are. Okay, and experts try to saying about the maximize the resource exploitation. Okay, so just we have to maintain, we have to use the minimum resources. Okay, so basically, so the sustainable development or sustainable approach is also one of the important feature or a point into the planning also. Okay, so here the term entered into the economy. So the idea of the utilizing resources as it's a possible best. It means favorable conditions and better most use of the resources, so that the environment degradation at its minimum. Okay, minimum level we have to maintain. So when we are maintaining some minimum levels of the resources, so that the future generation could also be able to continue with their progress. Okay, and coming to the second point, so that is the idea of the natural resources which are available. Okay, so resources are two three types: natural, human made and human resources. Okay, so here they could be indigenous or exogenous. Indigenous means within country, exogenous means out of the country. So most of the countries carrying out planning try to utilize their indigenous resources only. So rarely some countries they are following the and they are using the exogenous resources. Okay. So example of the exogenous resources taking, so Soviet Union, so because they are using the resources available in the East European countries, and India also used exogenous resources for its development sometimes, and planning when it was necessary and possible to tap. Okay, so whenever we need something, it is necessary to our economy, so then we will go for the exogenous resources. Okay.